This lesson will focus on quantitative sampling non-probabilistic methods. There are two main types of non-probabilistic sampling methods. Recall that non-probabilistic sampling methods are those methods which do not use randomness or chance to select people, but instead use things like availability to select the person or the sample. As a result, non-probabilistic sampling is much more prone to the bias of the researcher than probabilistic sampling methods, and therefore is less preferred for quantitative methodologies than probabilistic sampling. These are the two types of non-probabilistic sampling methods: convenience sampling and snowball sampling. We'll go through each one in turn. In convenience sampling, the idea is that the researcher finds whoever happens to be around them, whoever is convenient to become part of the sample. So for instance, in this picture, the researcher would be the woman in the window, and the potential participant would be the man walking the dog going by the researcher's home. And notice that the researcher just says, "Hey, do you believe in the death penalty?" She is doing very much, maybe, anyway, she's doing convenience sampling in sort of the most prototypical way. Generally, researchers are a little bit more thoughtful than this. But typically, this is where you see many studies that use convenience samples that are based on undergraduate populations or graduate populations, because those are most often the groups of people that are around academics who teach at universities. Convenience sampling, in my estimation, is the most frequent form of sampling in at least counseling and psychology, and probably most social sciences. That does not mean it is good. In many ways, it is probably the worst form of sampling, because there's such a risk of the sample being biased, either from the researcher's own biases or from limitations in the sample because it is convenient. In snowball sampling, the researcher identifies somebody who has a particular set of characteristics for the sample. Typically, snowball sampling is used for very complex inclusion-exclusion criteria. So for instance, African American mothers who had their children premature and are under the age of 20. There's a lot of inclusion and exclusion criteria that would be resulting from that particular sample or unit of study. And the way that it works is you identify one person who has the characteristics of your desired sample. And then you ask that person, once they complete your study, do they know anyone else that matches their characteristics? Typically, that is the case. A lot of people tend to congregate with similar characteristics. And so they might know two people. The researcher then would interview and request that these two individuals participate in their study. They wouldn't necessarily interview them, but they would request them to participate in their study. These two individuals then, once completed with the study, they would then be asked if they know anyone. So one person might know 3 people, the other person might know 2 people. From these resulting 5 people, then you'd ask if they knew anyone who could complete the study, and so on and so forth. The name snowball sampling comes from the idea of rolling a snowball down a hill. it starts out very small, but by the bottom of the hill, it's accumulated a lot of snow and it's grown much bigger. And in the same way, the idea is that you start small with one person, and as you roll down, or as the hill, metaphorically, you have a much larger sample that meets the characteristics that you need in the end. However, as you can imagine, it is not randomness or chance that brings these people into your study, but in fact, who knows, who happens to know each other in this particular study. So you might not recruit every person that could be part of this population. That is why snowball sampling is considered a non-probabilistic method. In the next video, we will discuss the different forms of ways that we understand how many people in a sample are appropriate. Before then, this is a slide for your reference to identify what non-probabilistic sampling is, the two main types, their definition, and what some advantages and disadvantages of each form is.